Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. I'm, of course, your host, World Blitz, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the almighty god of tanks, the mighty Vindicator. Now, I absolutely love this thing and hate it at the same time. It's super fun just to drive around with the weird-looking plow, shoot a bunch of 640 damage shells, and sometimes a lot of people really have no clue where the weak spots are on this vehicle. But at the same time, it only has 2 degrees of gun depression, it's slow, and it's got absolutely no armor if you know how to shoot the weak spots, which is the entire side, the entire rear, and pretty much in certain spots, the entire front. But nonetheless, I still think the Vindicator is a really cool looking tank, and that seems to be true for you guys as well, because my most popular video, which is almost at 94,000 views now, is on the mighty Vindicator. So I figured, you know what, in update 7.4, Wargaming has buffed the vehicle. Now the buff has not been a buff that I really wanted, because it added penetration to standard and premium, which wasn't really an issue on the vehicle. I guess the standard buff is welcome because, yeah, always having more standard penetration, not having to load premium is something that's nice, but it would have been really nice if they'd either changed the standard ammunition to AP shells, or even better, just imagine if they gave it 4 or even 5 degrees of gun depression from the 2 degrees it normally sits at. The gun depression is so bad that I literally cannot aim down on that KV2's lower plate at the angle I'm sitting, or at least it should not be able to if I'm correct. Let's take a look here just to show you how bad it is. Actually, we can barely aim down on the lower plate or the lower booty of the KV2, but you can see that that is my gun depressed at max angle. That is it. It's awful. And it's quite funny sometimes when you're trying to drive over ridges how far you actually have to drive over the ridge to shoot the enemy, but that's the whole point of the Vindicator. If you're buying this tank, it's more because you love the way it looks, the 640 Alpha, because this is the only tank destroyer, and in fact the only premium that you could buy apart from the Smasher that does deal 640 damage in a standard shell. I guess you could argue that the Annihilator does it, but it's not necessarily in a single shell. So what do we have here? We got the Annihilator off to the side who's pushing away. You'll see that this tank isn't necessarily the slowest. It gets up to speed, but it's also not the fastest. It's really, it's meh on the mobility. So we got the Annihilator over there. We've, ooh, this is not actually fun. I don't want to play with an Annihilator. If you guys ever watch, Annihilators will annihilate your hit points. Now, the funny thing is, that is my gun depression right there. So that T-29 that normally every vehicle in the game would be able to shoot, well, oh boy, look at that. I literally cannot shoot that T-29. And, yeah, that's not very fun. So we're going to have to drive out in the open. But when you do get a shot, oh, does it hurt. That was 603 hit points. We stripped right off that guy. And you'll see with the very troll armor this thing does have, you are able and capable to get quite a bit of bounces in the armor. So we've got the SU-100M1 off to the side there, and there's all the Chaffee who's just enjoying that ridgeline. Oh, you know I wanted to shoot that. That would have been so happy if I was able to. But a nice snap right into the side of that Dracula, saving my Tiger from a unwelcomed rush. And yeah, once again, using that super high penetration of the standard shells now, I guess. So now we got the T-29 here, who we're going to load a high explosive and shoot right at the cupola with for 319. One nice thing about this tank is that, oof, that's the penetration. You can see that the armor, it's not necessarily the best. Again, if you know how to penetrate it, you're easily going to be penning this vehicle every time. Now we got the Annihilator's booty, and you know exactly what I'm going to do here. Boom! 899 hit points stripped from the Annihilator. Let's wiggle the tank to the best. Come on, I believe in you, armor. You can do it. You can do it. You know what? We bounced it. We bounced quite a bit of it. All right, come on, Challenger. Yes. Okay, so all that's left is the SU-100M1, and that was actually a decent game pulled out by the Annihilator. Would you look at that? Something that's very rare to see actually happened for once, and hello, comrade. Do you like my big 150mm shell? Now, in real life, this is actually the Sturm Tiger gun, which means that it should be a 367 or 87. I don't remember the exact millimeter, but it's like a 360mm gun that the Sturm Tiger would have. So after a quick search on Google, the Sturm Tiger carried a 380mm gun. Now what that means is that pretty much, let's get a 183, double the damage, because of course a 183, you know, it's got a 183mm, so that'd be a 360. So let's just say the Sturm Tiger can deal 2,000 average damage in Tier 7. How does that sound, everybody? The premium shells can deal, I don't know, we'll say 1,800, and the high explosive can deal 3,500. I think that sounds pretty dang fair, you know. The HE might one-shot every vehicle, but you gotta hit them. So it's a 50-50. You know, dispersion will make it like 0.9. Just imagine this vehicle being able to one-shot any tank in the game. That'd be a great idea, wouldn't it? Please don't get any ideas, Wargaming. It was just a joke. Please. Okay, so let's take a look at the enemy team now and try and get a good game out, because it's very rare to really get good games like the last one out in a tier 8 battle. And the reason for that being is because the armor doesn't necessarily work too well. It works if they shoot the upper part of the plow. You can see that it kind of slopes at the upper part. It goes further away from the plow. And of course, spaced armor works best when it's got dissipating abilities on the shell. So when the shell hits the top part of the plow, it's going to lose some of its penetration, and then it's going to, come on, aim, aim, aim. All right, we're just going to take a shot. I'll take it. You know what? Shell velocity, surprisingly, actually isn't that bad on the Vindicator. Something a lot of people don't know is that it really does not do a terrible job of hitting its shots on shell velocity. It's also not terrible on the accuracy, although it will struggle occasionally to hit some of the far distance shots. So we got the IS-6 off to the side here. Who? Boom! Haha, yeah, we damaged his track. Oh boy, that's really what I wanted to do. Oh, sorry, Cheetah. I just want to squeeze my way through here. Just want to maybe get a shot into the IS. Come on, aim and fire. Yeah, what the heck? Wargaming, why you do this to me? Why you doing me dirty? This isn't fair. No, and the Dracula's off to my side now. Oh boy, this is not what I wanted. Okay, so let's go for the Dracula first, because Dracula, of course, is a medium tank that can get our side. So let's, yes, big shell into the Drac. We got issues, though, which is everything on the enemy team. So I'm not super worried about the LTTB. It's really the more mobile tanks that are kind of worrying me, like the AMX-13 right now, who, yeah, can use its mobility against me. And I don't have the gun depression to shoot that guy, so that's big shame. So let's turn now, try and get a shell into the enemy LTTB. If we can do this correctly, we should be able to actually one-shot him. So come on, and fire! Oh, it didn't one-shot him, but I can tell you he's not super happy with me anymore. Oh boy. Oh, I love the damage on this vehicle. So that's the one nice thing about this tank, is the damage you do per shot. You really, you don't want to mess with a tank that can literally one-shot you. And honestly, I don't know if I want to take out the IS-6. We'll do it just because it is a tier 8 heavy. So we'll finish him off. There you go, big HE into his front track wheel. But the real tank I got to be worried about currently is the enemy AMX-13. Oof. You know what? I don't think we actually have to be worried about anything right now. It looks like the enemy team is not doing too well. And we've got one big shell saved for this T-29, and let's give him that big shell. Hello, comrade. Do you like a big shell? So that was a good game. We did 2,917 damage. And once again, you can see that the Vindicator, or should I say the Windicator, does a good job if it's played on flat ground and if the armor works decently. It really does a good job against mediums that can't really pen you. That stock LTTB really had no chance to take us out, and while our HE did low roll just a little bit, we pretty much ruined his entire game in a matter of seconds. So hopefully you guys did enjoy today's video. My opinions on the buff, it's not really changing anything for the vehicle. If they buffed the HE, yeah, it would have made a big difference, but they didn't. They buffed the standard and the premium, so it's only a 10mm buff. My opinion, it didn't change the tank at all. It's still a fun meme to run. I personally like it, but it is probably one of the worst premiums you can get your hands on just because of that whopping 2 degrees of gun depression. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.